For me, it was a big insight that there are not many female founders, and I still don't understand why, because many of them are really amazing and have a great potential to start a business.
So hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Top of the Hunt. Today we've got Anastasia with us, who's recently been the top product, and we're proud to say our first female founder to come on, which we're incredibly excited about. And we'll have an interesting conversation with today, cover many subjects, and we'll let her introduce herself. Hello Anastasia, how are you?
Thank you so much for having me. Super excited to share my experience and my insights on Product Hunt and overall what is happening with Milestone. And super honored to be the first female founder here. So let's get started.
Yeah. So what's your background, Anastasia? How did you come to being here today?
Yeah, so I used to be a PMM for B2B SaaS companies for almost 5 years. So basically, this is something that I experienced myself as a product marketing manager and wanted to fix for other companies. So this is like the first side, like why I decided to start Milestone. The second part is we were having over 50 interviews with my fellow product managers, PMMs, and founders, and received like those insights that really the struggles that I was facing before as a professional were actually super common for everyone, and very excited to actually be the one solving this for the first time.
It's quite common for somebody to be solving their own problem. And I think it often gives people a much better founder market fit. It's difficult when you start a business idea and you don't know much about it. But for you, obviously, it's a fantastic foundation to build from. So what problem does it solve? How would it have made your job easy before, and how does it make their job easier now?
So as a PMM working for product-led startups, I was usually facing that the biggest bottleneck is activation stage. So whenever people come sign up to product, they're using and leaving of the very first session. So this is like something most of the companies were trying to solve in many different ways, improving conversions from every step of customer journey, from involving sales managers, but it usually takes a lot of resources to actually like talk to people, and it should be somehow automated. And there are like some solutions on the market that position themselves as activation and onboarding platforms, but actually after testing a few of them, I understood that this is not solving actually the problem. So we were thinking like, what if we'll search for some unusual ways of building onboarding and making the simulation of sales managers inside the product. So this is how actually Milestone was born. We wanted to build those interactive experiences like a real human, like a sales manager is leading you through the platform. But at the same time, we're focusing on only like tips and tricks, like showcasing value proposition of the platforms, not like showing every feature, like this is a dashboard, this is another feature. So this was the main idea, and how we were inspired by this as well. And also like many of those like companies, which is like a big reference for me, how companies should grow and what to focus on. And they already implemented some gamification things, interactive experiences inside the platforms. For example, like Asana has unicorn, many platforms have animations, interactive things. So I was thinking, what if we can have the same thing, but like for smaller startups, to help them implement those methods much faster and to make this experience for their users so much fun.
Okay, so your target audience is primarily early stage startups, is that right?
Yeah, so we're focusing currently on the startups starting from 10,000 monthly active users. But like we're now like in this testing phase when we're trying with some startups.
So you're aiming to bring functionality from large SaaSes and other big companies down to smaller companies, and then perhaps later on offering out to smaller companies again, if you can get the sort of the functionality and the price point right for them.
Yes, exactly. Let's say for now we're in this stage when we're playing around with different audiences, when we are not like very strict with our ICP. So we're just like testing the waters, and then we launched on Product Hunt to understand how does it work for like small businesses, for solopreneurs. And then we will also have like conversations with some bigger companies to see how it works for us. Let's say now, like as a product marketer, is a little bit like confusing because I want to have some clarity. I want to have a specific ICP to to the plan to follow, but it doesn't work like this in startups. But this is something that also motivates me and which is like super interesting to explore. Yeah, so I would say this is an interesting journey of exploring who is your ICP and like talking to different people to understand whose pain point it's more or who cares about this problem.
It's a big problem to solve because I think I've worked primarily as a marketing consultant for companies that wouldn't necessarily ever consider themselves startups, usually for small to medium businesses. And they don't really ever focus much on retention. And obviously, for them, a lot of the time, you have a leaky funnel and you look down and you think maybe they weren't the right customer. Maybe they weren't this. And obviously, you're in a position now where when somebody goes and they spend a lot of time improving the funnel at the top, they can then say further down, well, we've got this when people get there because the onboarding's now spot on and people are not going to leave, which I suppose will give a lot of people peace of mind because there's no good in bringing 1,000 people to a product if they're not going to use it. So
Exactly.
you've mentioned Product Hunt, which you came Product of the Day, you had Product of the Week, and you're currently very close to Product of the Month. How does that feel?
Amazing. We didn't expect it, honestly. So we were targeting to get to top 5 and
Yeah.
receive the feedback. This is which we achieved actually. But honestly, like we didn't expect the product of the day because we were not targeting the badge. But now I see the impact of this as well. So I see how our previous clients who were not sure about the product because it was too raw or like different reasons, and now they're like let's say have more interest because this social proof and that many other startups are trying the product. So yeah, it went amazing in my opinion.
It certainly did. I know on the day you were mentioned quite a lot everywhere online, and when I saw it, I thought, oh, this is we're building in Flutter, which is a shame because it's when I asked the question on your product, your co-founder said, unfortunately not yet, but perhaps soon. So we're a little bit disappointed that you're not there yet for us, and I suppose that's a testimony to early signs of product market fit where people are begging you to solve their problems still. And obviously for
Exactly.
the other companies who are now coming around, it's perhaps you should say, no, you've missed out. We're moving on now. We're sorry. Maybe next time. I'm only joking. But it's wonderful. Well done. So were you investing much time into product hunt launches or did you turn up and just post a product and hope for the best?
Yeah, I think this is not something about us, like just posting the product and seeing how it goes. So we actually like the first part, like we define like why do we want to launch because our audience, like our potential audience is there, and we're really curious to receive this feedback. And let's say before that, we were like actively talking to people, showing the platform, getting feedback. It was like pretty slow. So we wanted to receive this feedback all in once, not waiting for people to answer, to move the call and things like that. So basically, we decided to launch on Product Hunt 1 month before, and we actually moved the launch day because we were expecting that we can do it faster. But then some of my fellow makers started sharing their tips and tricks, and I understood that it's better to take time to build the product and then to launch a good one ready for people to use.
Fantastic advice. I think I've spoken to somebody recently who misplaced their launch day. He thought it was on Saturday and he ended up going on Sunday. And he had a very stressful time. But you sound like you've had all of your ducks in a row from the beginning. So, did you spend a lot of time then promoting it, creating a lot of materials and videos and other things?
Yeah, so I think 1 month before we just started planning. So I started interacting with people on Twitter, on Product Hunt community, and LinkedIn. Like just like I had, I think 1 hour per day to just interact, to reply to other people's comments, to support other products. So just like my main insight and like trick here is just genuinely supporting others. So they will be also open to support you on your launch day. Then
Mm.
I think I wrote all the materials in a few days, in 2 days for sure. And also I think it's important to know like we're a team of 3 people. Some founders are asking how we did this because some people with 8 or more people in the team, they cannot achieve top 5. And for me it was like all about planning all those materials, writing the content in advance, some visuals. We were using anim stats. This is also my fellow from Twitter. So we basically prepared all the potential materials that we could use. And then I think 2 days before or something like this, sorry, this is my dog. So 2 days before, we started collecting all this information, and we actually are using.
So you were prepared, a lot of different materials prepared ahead of time, and then you were moving on to do Twitter and other things.
Yes, exactly. So we were using like Asana, Notion. Let's say we tried like different like project management and task management platforms, but on the launch day we were using just a simple Excel, let's say Google
Yeah.
Sheets. So we were just like, we had different tabs, and in each of them we had like tasks. For me, for example, I had like my day planned by minutes, and we decided that we want to start at midnight because this is like the time that works for us in Canada. And then we started like reaching out to people in Asia and Europe, because I'm from Ukraine originally, and yeah, I have many friends founders there. And then like on the second part of the day, this is like more briefly, we started reaching out to people in North America. And yeah, this is basically, we had, my co-founder is joking like, we don't have to plan everything by minute. And I was like, we have to, because how else would we know what we should do? And when you're stressed, it's hard to focus on the right things. So we basically prepared all the posts. For example, like my post was launched on 001 or 01. And then like I posted on Twitter right away. I wrote the comment in advance, the first comment of the founder. Then I posted on Twitter right away. So let's say everything should work well. Let's say I think part of our success on Product Hunt is that we really prepared well, and we were not stressed thinking what should we do, like where to write. We had the list of all
Mhm.
groups, of all communities, of people who are ready to support us. And we wanted to get this virality in the beginning of the day, because first 4 hours are super important. Some people are saying like last 4 hours as well, but for us it was pretty clear, like at 7 a.m. Canadian time, like that we are already on the first place, and it was like hard to get there. So I would recommend to, like, in the first 4 hours, really just like involving all your friends who were waiting for your launch. And we had anticipation before the product launch, and people were reaching out to us, guys, can I try the product? And we had some last minute fixes, so we couldn't give the access, but people were really actively reaching out to us. So I would say this is how we understood we had this pre-validation part. Like, people were really waiting for our launch, and they knew the launch date. So I would say this is quite important.
Yeah, no, I think you're 100% right. I'm glad you strong armed your co founder into taking everything by the minute, because it seems to have been a fantastic piece of advice. And next time he says, "Oh, we don't need to be so prepared," remind him that Alexander Usyk, the way he go and watch him training for a fight, his mental training is more than his physical. So he knows he can deal with any pressure. And if you don't know who he is, he's the Ukrainian heavyweight boxing champion of the world, and perhaps technically one of the best boxers we've ever seen, certainly in the heavyweight division.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you've told him, and it all went well. But it sounds you took the stress out and you've prepared it very well. And I think you were right. The first 4 hours, it's like starting a race. If you can see everybody in front of you, it's nervous times. You're looking and you're trying to play catch up. But if you're already a little bit ahead, if you can say this is working, we can stay calm, we can stay cool. This is what we need to keep doing, and you've done a very good job of it. So on the day of the launch, you've mentioned that you were very well prepared. Did you have much feedback that was unexpected, positive feedback that was over the top, or negative feedback and you thought, where did this come from? We've not heard this in any of our discovery calls.
This is interesting question. I would say, like, in the first 4 hours, we predicted the comments. Like, our decision was to not, let's say, for people who are launching on Product Hunt, they know that many people are proposing to buy some comments, to buy a post, and those kind of things. So
Mm-hmm.
we consciously decided to not do this, because it's not going to help our goal to be achieved. So we just wanted some people who were interested to basically comment, to review the product, to try it out, and just start this trend of like other people to explore our product. And I would say this is one of the key things for us to be on the first place on the launch day and product of the week, because we had a crazy amount of comments. I don't know like when did it happen, because I was more focused on promoting our launch and things like that. But at the same time, they were just appearing. I don't know. we try to engage people who are interested in advance. So once we launched, in the first 5 minutes, I think first 15 minutes, we already had some comments. So after that, like other people were just like exploring our product. And I think interesting part is we are focusing on gamification. And this is something I'm recommended to other founders who are asking me about the launch. This is something I didn't know, but it was like one of my insights, and it's about the positioning and messaging. So something you do as a PMM like almost every day. This is quite obvious thing, but I think a lot of creators are forgetting that how you describe your product, the tagline, the image is actually very important, because whenever people saw this gamification word in our description, they were like, oh, I'm at least curious to explore what it is, because B2B SaaS and gamification is not very common, like everyday thing they discuss. So not just if you have a project management platform, not say it's like project management platform. So like maybe mentioning some like some keywords that people associate with you, but not specifically like a boring description, more like something catchy and people would remember you by just one or two words. About the negative feedback as well. So we actually, I think this is something about the product hunt audience, because they were not just like saying this doesn't work and comments and stuff like that. They were just like reaching out to me and saying, hey, Anastasia, this doesn't work. And we were like pretty aware of this, because some small issues are always happening and this is okay. And I was actually surprised that people were not saying this publicly. They were just reaching out to me like, this small thing happened, can you fix it? And we were just like fixing it right away, because again, we were like two of the co-founders were involved into promotion, into replying to comments and interacting with people. And our technical co-founder, he was always like checking the product, fixing things. So it was actually a nice, I would say, workshop for him, because we were receiving the feedback and like just fixing it right away. So it was like, I don't know, workshop hackathon. It was pretty intense, but nice that in just one day you receive all the feedback. Even if it's like negative, it's always nice for us, because people care, people reach out to me, and people like want us to be better. And I also understand this is our first launch, and it shouldn't be like perfect. Then it's not real if it's perfect.
It's nice that people are being constructive even with their criticisms, because there's nothing worse when somebody just leaves and throws your product away and says nothing. It's fantastic with them, and it's a nice community to have done so. So from there, you launched. Obviously, you're still looking at product of the month, but what's next for you and for Milestone?
Yeah, so we definitely want to move towards gamification. So we want those experiences to be even more interactive, more gamified, because this is the very first iteration of Milestone. Actually, like the third, we had some pivots, but like completely different ideas. So now we know this is a validated idea. People are really curious. And we have like currently two solid features about like gamification to let users choose which flow they want to enroll to, and some animations, but we definitely want to go towards more and more gamification. So it's even more interesting. And we actually received a lot of feedback about potential features. So we are just like planning and hope to share with you soon what is going to happen with Milestone.
So when you have your next launch, will that be you relaunching on Product Hunt, or will you wait till there's a massive change, like a version 2.0 type of thing?
Yes, I think the second option. So I think we will stay in touch, and with product hunters, and many of them are still like they giving me feedback. So I think this is a nice channel for feedback, and I would say we would try to experiment with other channels as well, because for now we have just like outreach, but we're also receiving some inbounds from people who already heard about the product. So this is something we also want to focus on. So Product Hunt is not the main channel for us, but more promotional to get the feedback for the features, to be inspired for the new ones. So I believe that the next feature will be also launched on Product Hunt, but let's see how it goes.
Okay. So what's your intention from here? Are you looking for VC funding, or are you going to continue to bootstrap it? What's the plan?
Yeah, for now we're good to go, like bootstrap, but we also received some offers from VCs and some angels. So let's say before that we wanted to just be completely bootstrap, but now just reviewing the options, we don't have a specific decision. For now we're good to go, like we are, but maybe we'll get like some new insights that we would need VC money to grow faster.
No, it's wonderful to have the option. And I think it's often for VCs, it seems to be when somebody doesn't want them, they turn up. But when somebody wants to have VC funding, they're very difficult to find. So it's a nice position for you to be in. How's life changed for you?
Yeah, I think there are many things that I'm repeating doing as a PMM and now as a founder, but there are more things that you explore just like on your own. I don't know, for me it was a big insight that like there are not many female founders, and I still don't understand why, because like many of them are really like amazing and have a great potential to start a business. So I'm really waiting for some of my friends to become founders too. So let's say this was my biggest insight, that I really didn't expect there are not many of women in business. So I think also like to find the right team, I think it's not like specifically for female entrepreneurs, I think for everyone. So I found an amazing team that like just works as a loop. We wanted to have this kind of system when we design fast, when we receive feedback, then design fast, and then develop, and then again receiving feedback, design. And so that's why we have three co-founders, which like I don't know, just working like we work well together. So whenever I have like my strengths is obviously like marketing and sales, but then I don't know, I'm not very strong in like development obviously, or I know how user experience should work, but I'm not like a professional here. So I think it works well like working with the right people. And let's say so far I didn't notice any difference besides like this space being full of men but no female founders. I don't know if it makes sense, if I should repeat this.
That's fine. Yeah, no, I think obviously from one side, I think there's two problems potentially facing female founders. One is there's not as many of them who code. And I listened to something from a psychological perspective a while ago, and it was basically saying men are more interested in things and women are more interested in people. And because technology and coding is more of a thing, that then there ends up being less women going into it. And I don't know if that's necessarily true, but obviously when you look at an undergraduate computer science course, there's less women than men. So that's one of the problems we face. I think the second part is, and this isn't just for women, it's more for non-technical co-founders. If you've not really worked in that type of environment before, and you try and speak to a developer about the conversations around how do we develop this product and these other things, unless you have some type of grand vision or a roadmap or other things, they won't necessarily understand what you're trying to achieve. So it becomes quite a difficult conversation to have. And I've seen that with men and women alike, but it's hopefully you can inspire more women to say, do you know what, I'm going to be brave, I'm going to be bold, I've got good ideas, I've seen things I can solve too, let's go out and find somebody who can help us build it.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree with you. It's like there's no time to be not involved in this world, and especially after the war happening in Ukraine. I was like, no, I'm gonna live my best life and just achieving all my dreams I have, because there is no other days to do this. And yeah, and I found I think the same like the same level of boldness or something like of co-founders, and like really excited that we're not focusing on like being afraid or something. We're just like doing stuff and we're achieving things. And I think this is an important part, like to never feel that you achieved everything. I don't have this feeling, even though we received like a lot of feedback from people and everyone is curious how we did this, and we just built a great product, we just prepared well. And yeah, I think we just have the goal that we want to achieve and we don't want to give up, and this is the key thing here, I would say. And yeah, for me, like also what you said about like computer science classes in the university, I don't know, at least in Ukraine, it was always like girls were better in maths. I was not one of them. So at least I understand this. And I'm focusing on my strengths, not on, on my weaknesses. So for this, I have like my partners to help me with this. But it doesn't mean you cannot have a great vision and then like to brainstorm together with people who are super different from you. But then the best ideas will be born after this kind of collaboration.
I think you're 100% right. So how did you find your technical co-founder? You know him, or did you network and find him?
I was looking for co-founder like everywhere, like Googling how to find a technical co-founder. I knew some people I wanted to work with, but they're like located in Ukraine, and they didn't want to work with the North American market. It was not very possible with the time zones. But then I explored that YC is having YC Match platform, and I started like searching, like matching with different people there, and was almost hopeless because it was like, I don't know, 1 month of unsuccessful calls, and I met some great people, but we're not super matchy with each other. And then I decided to have the last one, and this guy decided to have, okay, I'm gonna delete my profile because it was so bad. I'm not gonna search for anyone anymore. But we already scheduled the call, so let's have it. And it was like an instant match. I was like very impressed, emotional, because this, like, we have a similar background. We started working really early, and like he has the same vision, the same values, and I was like, okay, this is the match. And then they met with my another co-founder. We actually were friends before, I think since summer camp in Ukraine. And then we had the call all together, and just, let's say, understood that we really have the same goals, but just different ways to achieve those goals. So we just understood this is the right thing to be. So we have different perspectives. We all are very bold, very direct. He's from Romania, and we have like similar, I don't know, like type of communication. So we all are direct and very honest with each other. So I think this is the key.
That's wonderful. So you're thankful to YC, whether you apply and get in or don't apply. You
Yeah.
owe them at least a thank you letter at some point.
Yeah, for
No,
sure.
it's wonderful. I've heard many people have a story such as yours, at least in the beginning. Perhaps they lack the persistence, where it's a very unfruitful place. I think when you have potentially both sides of the market having an idea that they want to pursue, then there might be a bit of a mismatch if you don't have the same sort of grand vision. But obviously, you've got that, so it's fantastic. So I know a few people who want to be a technical co-founder and want to go and build a technical product and have an idea, and likewise people who've been growth hackers, marketers, or something along those lines, and have a completely different vision set. I mean, there's not going to be much chance of lining up. So it's fantastic. So is he in your time zone as well, or is he still over in Romania?
He's in Romania, but he likes to work at night. So that was the perfect match. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't like to work at night, but sometimes we have to, like when we launched the product hunt. But
Yeah.
when we launched the product hunt for his, it was like a wrong time. So he wanted to sleep. At this time, he's used to be a night.
Our technical co-founder, I've only ever known him sleep twice, and I've known him for nearly a decade. So there's been once or twice in that time I've tried to get in touch with him and he's been asleep. Every other time he's been awake, and it just seems to be nighttime. It's interesting.
Yeah, I think he's used to work with North America, so that's why it's perfect. But I don't know. I want to travel to Europe soon, like for a few months, and I don't know how I'm gonna manage this work at night. But let's see.
Is there any challenges or difficulties you had along the way that you feel would be interesting for the people to learn from it and perhaps reflect on for themselves?
So we're actually reflecting a lot on this, and we will change some things. Like first, the not accepting gmail.com profiles. So we're not thinking that much on like how to convert people and what if we need some kind of friction. So that was my insight. Is as a PMM, you always want to reduce friction, but in this case, you'd better receive like less leads, at least for us, like for B2B SaaS space. We would better, let's say, filter and have some kind of friction in the beginning. So people who are like really interested, who are, have like worked from a specific company will get to our platform rather than just like letting everyone join. So let's say this is like something which is great because we let everyone try the product and everything. But let's say we are facing some challenges in converting those people because we're not focusing that much on the setup. And then also I would change, like, let's say we're like our product is helping other products to build better onboarding and activation, but because we're focusing so much on our customers and to deliver a great product for them, we're not like focusing that much on our own onboarding. So I would say this is something I would use our products for us as well, rather than just like helping like others to get them to this aha moment about Milestone as fast as possible. So I would just build a really simple onboarding, especially if it's like a self-service stream. If you don't have like just book a demo option, but you let your users to try the product, it should be as simple as possible. You should support them and like booking demos, booking calls to onboard them better if possible. but this process is like super crucial, and this is something I would focus on next time a little bit more than we did this time.
So when you say you block Gmail, so that means if I came along with tyrob@gmail.com, I can't sign up. But if I come along with my business email, then I can.
Some of the customers, they have like their work domain, like their company Gmail. So they were using like their personal one. So I would say to make sure you get like those company emails, so then you understand which person is joining you from which company. It will help to have better analytics and better insights after the launch.
No, that makes a lot of sense. You want sometimes for everybody to sign up, and then sometimes it's that friction that you're talking about creating helps. One, it makes people take it a bit more seriously because they know, look, this is a business tool. So their expectations when they come in are perhaps a little bit different than if they thought it could be, I could gamify something very simple, like a tiny single production app that was supposed to be like a Flappy Bird game or something that was not taken seriously. And then we can start looking at perhaps creating a bit of your ICP and saying, right, then companies with 20 employees are looking at our tool across the board. So we can say we can start to target some of those. It's a good insight. Thank you for sharing. And obviously, for working on your own product, I think that's one of the key things. Our co-founder, and it's more famous of a saying than I've been led to believe, talks about eating your own dog food. If you've created a product, you have to use it yourself. So you've got to spend a lot of time using your own, and really you should be the first user of it. And I remember the first time he said that, I was thinking, what on earth does he mean? Eating your own dog food? I'm thinking, I'm not going to eat my dog's food. But anyway, it was an abstract concept, which
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense in hindsight.
Yeah,
But
that
it's
sounds very interesting. Let's say I understand the concept, and this is something which is like super obvious, but we didn't do this in the beginning. That's why we're like, I did this product for solve like my own problems. But when you're launching a startup, you are not focusing on like everything. You have to prioritize things, and we wanted to deliver like incredible experience for our users. But at the same time, we're like just some things were really not perfect, but this is also okay. I think it's just like it's important for other people to hear that, because it's like it's never enough, it's never a perfect product. You always have some things to grow, and you always have to define your priorities. It's never gonna be like everything. So yeah, that was our learning from
yeah,
this
no,
launch.
it's good. Thank you for sharing. So from there, I think we're ready to call it a day, unless you've got anything you'd like to add.
I don't know, I think that's perfect.
I'd like to thank you, Anastasia, today for your time. It's been wonderful having you on as the first female founder. The achieving product of the day and then the week is a fantastic achievement, especially when you set out to be fifth. The way in which you've went about building your network on Product Hunt, making sure your tool ticked all of the boxes, is a true testament to the hard work you've put in. And it's can't congratulate you enough for such a high achievement for what you've done. It's fantastic. I hope that there's lots of young women out there who perhaps will come across this video one day and say, do you know what? I've got some skills and knowledge and experience. I'm going to have the drive and determination to go and build something too. And as a Ukrainian in this time, I can only imagine you look and you think there's worse things going on in the world than my difficulties. I'm going to go on and I'm going to beat them, just like the rest of your nation's trying to do back at home. So well done, and thank you for coming. If possible, we'd like to have you back on in about 6 months' time. We can discuss the progress you've made. If you're launching or relaunching again on Product Hunt and perhaps a new version, then we can align it better with that should you wish. But it'll be wonderful to speak to you again. And I wish you all the best for the future. And hopefully that means Product of the Month and then Kitty Awards later in the year.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to talk to you. And this is also an important part of reflections after becoming product of the day week. And really excited to show you some progress in 6 months. Thank you so much for inviting me. And it was very nice conversation. And happy to see you soon.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.